Okay, this is a story now reading for. This is about the jurors of the trial for Mr. Tyre Nichols, because the jurors came back with the verdict of not guilty on every charge, everything as far as the 3 officers. Now all of us that have any common sense out here know it was wrong. Something was wrong with that picture. They went and got that jury from somewhere, wherever they came from. I don't know. But wherever they got them from, they got to be people who stand for the police, because there's nowhere in the world that it should have went like that where nobody get any guilty verdict. Okay, so let's just see. They were sharks. They were sharks to Mr. Tyre Nichols. So the jury did a disservice. So Mr. Tyre Nichols was damaged, hurt, torn down, double, because the trial came and this happened. So the jury looked at Mr. Tyre Nichols' life like it was worth nothing. And that's a fact. Because if we looked at his life like it was precious, like it was, those people would be charged, each one of them, with whatever it was. And anybody out here with eyes would know that. I didn't look at the video, and I don't want to see no videos of people like abusing people. But I heard about it back then, and it just was disgusting. So let's just see, universe, about this jury. Where did this jury come from? And their mindset is a certain way. Anytime you get 12 people to agree to something like that, we already know something is up. So all of them people must be for the police, the cops. They have to be. There's no way they wasn't. No matter what, they just decide to do it. No matter what they do, they're not guilty. Now, we already know what that kind of stuff come from, because back then in slavery time, or a little bit past slavery time, or when it might have been, that mean if you was black, and no matter what somebody did wrong to you, you was the person who was the culprit, still was the person that, they believed over you because you was black. Get my drift, right? Even though the people know the person is guilty. So this reminds me of situations like that from way back when I look at movies or whatever, because I wasn't alive back then to know that. But I'm just saying, as far as movies or anything I look at to see how that kind of thing was. So this reminds me of something like that, because they are cops. They want to get away with whatever because they are cops, no matter what they did. Because nowhere in this world that's supposed to happen, and anybody with eyes looking should know that. So let's just see, universe. I don't know where they got these people from, but they had to be a city, a state, or whatever that was for cops. They gotta be, because there's no way that none of them men supposed to got some kind of guilty verdict. One of them at least. All of them should have, but at least one of them at least. Nobody did, so we don't really know something was wrong there. Some jurors just smacked Tyre Nichols' mother in the face back and forth when they did that. Every time the judge said whatever the judge said, they gave her another smack. That was another smack. Get what I'm saying? That was a smack. Each time. That was a smack, that was a stomp, that was a hit. Just what her son got. That's what that was. People need to value life. People need to value life. Because these people didn't value Mr. Tyre Nichols' life. Everybody on the jury, they didn't value Mr. Tyre Nichols' life. Even down to the judge. I feel the judge believed they supposed to got time. I feel that judge believed they supposed to got time. but he couldn't do anything because they leave it to the jury. Yeah, there's, what is this called? Yeah, there's mixed up in gossip. There's entwined in gossip. We talking about the jury right now, so I got to focus on them. There's mixed up in gossip. So I'm going to put what the gossip is, them being in the jury room deciding. That would be the gossip. They talking about something they heard about. Gossip. Get what I'm saying? They wasn't there. They talking about what they heard, what they saw on a video. They wasn't there though. They wasn't a part of it. So it's gossip in this storyline, right? There's entwined in it, right? Following from a distance. They suppose it not followed it from a distance, but maybe they got picked because they didn't follow it, right? And they was of a distance because they got picked because they didn't come from that same state or city. Let's just flow. Let's see. Because we done with this story now, universe. Universe, you know all about it. Why did these people do this? Now, we're going to see. We're going to see why they thought that was acceptable. Okay, up in here. Whoops. You got something over here that's not enough. Yeah, they picked door 3 jump to put Mr. Tyre Nichols in. Right? They wasn't loyal. They wasn't loyal to Mr. Tyre Nichols, the victim, right? But they was loyal to the defendants, right? Okay, let's just look. Let's just say, all right. They wanted for revenge, so they put out for revenge. So this called revenge by them not finding those people, those officers guilty. That was what you call revenge. It's like, no, I'm standing for the officers. So that's like revenge in this storyline. All right, you coming back like telling a mother, oh no, you're not really going against no officers. We coming back with revenge, and that's revenge. Every time they said not guilty, that's what you call in this storyline revenge. Get my drift. The mother wanted to tap into a precious occasion, but it didn't happen. Follow me? Because these jurors chose to stick a fork in Mr. Tyre a second time. Whoa. Let's see what this is. Mr. Tyre Nichols wanted it to be where the jury love her right, love her son right, find these people guilty. But they didn't. Because she wanted real God love to come from these people who was jurors. But it didn't come. Right? So we got money pending. So some kind of way it's going to be, what you call it? A civil suit, I guess, where money going to be pending. Okay? So we have right here that, what you embarrassed about. So we have that in the back. Because in the back it was like, this was like a ticking time bomb, this situation here, this trial, I'm going to call it. Right? So we have Mr. Tyre's family had feelings, whatever they was feeling like, whatever they was, anxious, nervous, or whatever they was feeling like, because they was waiting for this verdict to happen. So this trial was like a ticking time bomb, because you waiting for, you know, being on the jury, you waiting for them to come out. You don't know what they're going to come out with. And it was like a ticking time bomb. Right? And then when it came out, right, this is what they got. The jury decided to stick a fork in Mr. Tyre again. Okay, the sounds of, because we dealing with the jury now, the sounds of hearing as far as Mr. Tyre on the video, I guess. They didn't want to keep hearing it. We already know the officers didn't want to hear it, right? Because that's when you want somebody to shut up. You want somebody to be quiet card. Let's just flow. Let me just see universe. Because I'm talking about this joy right now. Okay. For Mr. Tyre's mother. She couldn't find out. Don't let this ruin her. Or this is for the prosecutors. Don't let what they seek ruin their trial because they couldn't find it. It said your life right, so I'm going to say trial because they felt they could go out of town and get somebody else. And when they went out of town and got somebody else, it was just as bad as just the people who was there, I guess. Dealing with the symbol, the cops, the court. Okay. Okay, let's just flow. Okay. There's probably gonna be police call coming out because we talking about policemen, but my focus is the jurors, right? I'm focusing on the jury, but however it's coming out, right? I gotta take it however it's going. Universe, you know all about it. You know all about it, universe. You know all about it, universe. Why do these people feel it's fine? Why do these people think it was fine to not find these officers guilty because they were anybody who wasn't blind could see they was guilty? So why did they act like they was blind? Because they was blinded by these people. Because they was officers, they was blind to that. But if it was any other citizen, they probably would throw the book at them. And that's a fact. Anybody knew that? So one more. Okay, let's see. I hear the word binding. Something might have been binding. You got psycho. Somebody was a psycho. Or they act psycho by making that decision. Somebody was psycho. Somebody might have been loud in the back. You know, loud mouth. Because we got a psycho on the table. Young brother. I don't know who that is, but anyway. Somebody is a psycho. One of them people was on their jury. One of their brothers. One of these officers. Let's just flow. Show that you can build your future and cheat on your fortune. So one of them was going to build their fortune and cheat on. Show that they can build their future. One of them. Or they was looking at it as far as the cops. They're going to cheat on their fortune. And they're going to let the cops go on and build their future. Whatever this is. Something's plain and simple. That's covering all their bases. So the prosecutors was covering all their bases because they picked the jury that's out of town somewhere. But it still didn't go their way. The prosecutors wanted this jury to get in it like a socket connection. Get in this thing and look at the facts. Look at what happened. Okay? Because it left the family with feelings that flow like a river in the prosecutors. Right? Because let's not mask the smell of foul. Because it was foul what the jury did. Let these people go. Because the next card is they saw things clear. But they got an epiphany. And that epiphany was because they was cops. They wasn't gonna give them no time. Next card is they moved fast on it. Where it left Tyre, Mr. Nichols, Mr. Tyre, mother, and the prosecutor team devastated. Right? They weren't gonna be scared of nothing. It is obvious they weren't gonna be scared of nothing because Silly and me to try to get to the Milky Way. So we have right here that who is trying to get it to the Milky Way. Let me just flow for a minute. So I'm gonna call this the lawyers, right? The prosecutors. Silly or me to think I can get to the Milky Way. So I'm gonna say for the prosecutors, silly of me to think that I could win a case and get 3 cops locked up. Silly of me, right? Next one is it was time to stop settling, right? So the prosecutors got this joy from out of town or wherever they came from, right? Because we grow like plants. You don't have to just deal with whatever this is. Like if you want a job somewhere else, you don't stay hooked to a job that's mistreating you. You go somewhere else. You don't stay with a man that's mistreating you. You don't stay with a joy that's unjust. You go somewhere else. And that's what they did. So this would be the joy of the community, the total community of them. Okay, so we have right here that the prosecutors was doofy. And that just simply means in this storyline, they couldn't believe what they was hearing. And that is them coming back with a not guilty verdict. And they had to cleanse their mind and clear their mind. Is it true? Are you playing? They didn't say are you playing, but that's what my card says. Right? Is it true that you saying that they not guilty? Are you joking? I can say that. You know what that means, right? Okay. Is it my race, right? Dealing with the Chronicles, something factual, right? So they didn't care anything about the race, right? Because they found them not guilty. But we looking at the Chronicles, something written, something factual. They cops, right? Put it right there. Family was in their feelings. Prosecutors also, right? So the jury was gonna go and settle this case. Go get it, right? But the prosecutors was gonna go and get what? Get those 3 officers. But it ain't go like they planned because it was abuse, right? They wanted their needs met, and they got their needs met. They got let off, right? So we have right here, I see a money scheme card look like in here, but let's just flow a little bit. Because you do get paid to come to court. Well, I don't know how much you get paid there, but where I'm at, what they get, $15 or whatever they get. So, money scheme. Okay, so we have right here that wearing certain kind of clothes did exaggerated things. They don't excuse their bad behavior. They was cops, so because they cops, you excuse their bad behavior, God said, right? It was time for you felt like the cops to be the conqueror. You didn't feel like Mr. Tyre needed to be the conqueror, even though his life was taken away. It was made Doomstown for him, right? But you made it where it was Doomstown for the family, right? Because the family wanted no more joking around. They've been waiting and waiting and able to get some kind of justice for Mr. Tyre. Okay, what is this one? Okay. So we have with the court, with the jurors, the prosecutors was going to lead and the jurors needed to follow. Or we got somebody in a jury room where it was one main one that was boisterous or whatever, and wanted everybody else to follow. Get what I just said, right? Because somebody in the back was tired of the games, and it was their game now to get this moving along, right? There's in a beautiful state. There's dealing with a beautiful state. That's where he got these people from. They was foreigners, right? They come from where they came from. But it was wake up time. It was time to continue their lives. So they can go back home. But it was wake up time. It was time for Mr. Tyre's family to continue their life. They're ready for something to happen, right? So we have number 4. So it could have been, we got a drawer number 4 maybe. Drawer number 9. Drawer number 1. Drawer number 5. Okay. drawer number 3, drawer number 8, drawer number 11, drawer number 6. Okay, so we have right here that the drawers was going to taste what was on that plate and throw away the scraps, right? It could have been some kind of design rug in the courthouse in the back where the jury was, in one of those people's houses, right? Wherever they live or work at. Something was going to be on the internet or was on the internet, right? Okay. They was in a money scheme, and this is considered a money scheme. The drawers, that's a money scheme. Because when you go to court, they give you $15 or whatever they give. And you're supposed to be sincere and tell the truth, right? They want it to be secure, right? There's going to be playful for an hour. That means obey what the judge tell them, be nice, be considerate, and plant that seed of doing just that, being decent, right? Well, so some of the best lines is in a book in our heads where we just sit and lie about something and say that it's true. So this was a big lie, we all know. So the jurors made it where it was, wait a minute, I have to pause. Okay, I'm back. Okay, the last card I said was that the prosecutors thought that they was protected by getting somebody from out of town, but that was a book of lies. The prosecutors wanted the jury to desire them, to agree with them, get what I'm saying? To come back with a guilty verdict, get what I'm saying? To care about Mr. Tyre Nichols, to see the crime that was committed, but they didn't, right? Prosecutors didn't want them to waste their time, right? Because they wasn't there to waste time, they was there to bring judgment, right? Because when the jury decide to make some kind of decision, they bring in a judgment against whoever it is. But instead, they didn't want their time wasted by the prosecutor because they came back with what they came back with, not guilty. Prosecutors thought that if they get somebody out of town somewhere and all that, they would come back different. But they had their minds made up, these people. They did. And the way you want to get 12 people, 13 or how many, saying the same thing against something like this. It was seed time, and that was a sure thing. So it was seed time, that's money time, and it's a short thing. So it's money time, seed time going to be for Mr. Tyre Nichols' mother with the silver suit whenever that comes. What was seed time as far as these jurors? Seed time mean money, okay? So let's just flow. So we have that somebody out of one of them drawers got a vaccine, blood drawn, or an IV done, or it's gonna be. Follow me? Okay, let me look. I gotta see this. This is green. What is this? If the prosecutors were searching for love, the prosecutors wasn't going to get it, not from this jury. Right? So it was activity on the cell phone of one of these jurors, some kind of way. Or it might have been some activity as far as the trial, or some kind of activity, period, as far as whatever, right? Maybe they get blood drawn, they got an IV, they gotta go for IV, or they gotta get a shot, or whatever's going on there, right? They might have tried to postpone going to this court hearing, but they might was forced. Follow me? Or they might have had to go and they just went on and rushed the decision because they weren't going to postpone an active action. And the active action was The person need to get blood drawn, get an IV done, or get what I told you, a shot, whatever it may be. Okay. So we got COVID right here. This is a COVID card in my hand. So one of them people on their jury might have COVID, getting over COVID or got COVID. Because this is a job card. There's a lapse in jobs. So if we got one of these jurors that it was a lapse in work some kind of way, and they wanted to get back home, and they didn't want to waste their time on their jury, and it was a sure thing, seed time, that's money, they was going to get a job or something, and they didn't want to waste their time, or whatever this might be. Okay. Let's just see. Somebody had COVID, need to get a shot for COVID, an IV for COVID, anything as far as COVID or a job. That's what happened on the journey, because these jurors were sustaining themselves at a shelter, and the shelter would be at the courthouse. Okay, so they was being promiscuous. They didn't, they wanted to just take care of themselves, being promiscuous. And this storyline for the juries, the jury is they was probably trying to make the decision, going all over the place with the decision, but when it was all over with, they didn't make the best decision because they didn't take care of Mr. Tyre. This card say take care of yourself, but they didn't take care of Mr. Tyre. That's what they came there for, to be on the jury, right? To help put these officers behind bars. They was promiscuous. They was all over the place in the back with their decisions or whatever it was, or whatever they was talking about back then. Or we got one of the jurors needs to, is promiscuous, whoever it may be, need to take care of his or herself, that might need to get blood drawn or shot or IV, one of them people. Okay, so we have right here that Mr. Tyre existed for a bigger reason than what any of these people thought. And he is going to get ready to get on his path. So we have with this card is what? Honestly, the next card is they was fickle. Or one of them people back there was fickle and wanted a second chance. So I'm going to say in the storyline for the jurors that one of the people was fickle. In some kind of way, somebody was trying to get that person to change their mind. Think about it again. You know what a second chance means. Think it over again. Because they want you to come back with the decision they want you to come back with. Well, this would be Mr. Nichols' card. He is fickle, and he wanted another chance. But they wasn't giving him another chance. He had anxiety at that time period. Because they were saying something was his fault back then. The cops. But as far as the jury, they might have had some kind of anxiety back there because they was trying to make the best decision. Where maybe they didn't. Oh, here's the cops right here. Here they are, right here. The blue-eyed brother. That's the cops. There's a cop card. Getting patted down by the cops, but they didn't get patted down by the cops. So let me just say it a certain kind of way. So they didn't want to say that it was the cops' fault, right? This is a blue-eyed brother card in my hand. So we have right here. This is you're dealing with a white person in general or a cop of any color, right? So they are whatever color they are, right? They are cops, right? So I want to take the robbery card on the other side is because nobody got it patted down. Mr. Tyre did at that time period, yes. But I'm taking this to the jury. They robbed the prosecution of the right decision. the jury robbed the prosecution and Mr. Tyre's family of the right decision because they wanted to have it where the cops don't go to jail, right? One of them people might have blue eyes that was on the jury. Don't have to, but one of them might. Or might have a blue-eyed brother. Okay, let's go. Might have a brother that's a cop. I don't know, right? So let's just see. Slipping through. So I'm gonna say with their questions back there and all their decisions that's slipping through, sliding through, and just trying to make a decision back there, maybe. But we already know what Mr. Tyre dealing with the cops back then. He is slipping through, gliding through, and moving around, and what was going on, and they was trying to get to him because they was like a ticking time bomb to Mr. Tyre back then. So we got a mother. It could be Mr. Tyre's mother, slim in nature. She don't have to have brown hair, but this would be his mama because that's his mama, right? Or we got somebody on the drawer. That's her mother, whoever she is. She could have brown hair, could be slim in nature. Don't have to have it, right? So we have right here that seeing everything in it and gaining much hope in it all, the jewelry back then, and whatever decision they decided to make. But Mr. Tyre's mother was gaining hope in it and thinking things was going to go a certain way. So we have right here somebody on that jewelry might have got raped before in their life, and they a certain kind of way, sexually, and that means promiscuous, right? Okay. So I'm going to take it to Mr. Tyre's side. Mr. Tyre, life was stolen. Because first they was telling him to get up maybe, but they stole his life. Follow me? One of them officers might be a certain kind of way they are. And they feel like they're just gonna be I say bad. I don't cuss, but get my direct, right? Mr. Big Man, right? So let's see what this next card. Freedom was calling, but will he answer freedom? So Mr. Tyre couldn't get away from these people, but they could walk away anytime, but he couldn't. But for the drawers, freedom is calling for the drawers. But will they answer freedom? Make a decision and just get this over with, right? Number one. Who's drawer number one? Drawer number 6. Okay. We have the drawers and solded everybody's intelligence because they came back with a not guilty verdict when they know they should have came back correct. So they decided to light a candle on Mr. Tyre, light a candle for him or her. So they decided to light a candle for Mr. Tyre, and they decided to light a candle for his mother, like to say, this is it. This is the end of this. What do you want? Right? And they lit the candle because Mr. Tyre's mother wanted what she wanted. It's like they saying, what do you want? Because they back there, she want the verdict, right? And here they come out, they light the candle on Mr. Tyre's mother and the prosecutors. We got God's number of grace, number 5. We got drawer 5. So we have, this was the last time for a lack of love for Mr. Tyre, God says. Because this drawer showed a lack of love for Mr. Tyre. So it's 12 drawers, right? God talking to all 12 of them. You showed a lack of love. And God said that's the last time. And it's definitely the last time for those officers. It's supposed to have been the last time where they served time, but they didn't get to serve any time. But spiritually, God is going to handle them. And each one of you, spiritually. Remember, spiritual, God. No matter what came negative, you was going to stand tall. So you didn't care about they did what they did to Mr. Tyre. You was going to stand tall. You was going to stand for the cops. That's what I'm saying. Because these people was cops who did this. They did a terrible thing. Right? But you was going to stand tall no matter what. Right? because it say negative. No matter what come negative, you was going to stand tall for the negative, right? So we have you wanted to get to full bloom. You wanted to get to full bloom. That means where it just be the end of the trial. You just wanted it to be over and get to full bloom. Or you wanted the cops to get to full bloom. That means don't lose their job, right? But the prosecutors wanted to get to full bloom. And that means win the case. So we have the jury. You was being molded into what you were not. Because each one of you supposedly came back with a guilty verdict. So you was being molded into what you was not. Right? You had to start to see what others was doing to keep you stuck. So when you looked at whatever directions the judge gave you or whatever it was, right, you was listening to that, but then you still was stuck in your mindsets of evidently you don't put the police in jail. So that's what God called them molded. You was molded, right? We got a fussing card or just talking. So you was back there talking. But if I put this Mr.Tyre, they was fussing at Mr.Tyre, right? And they was molded. They was molded what they feel their job taught them or whatever, or they was trained to do or whatever they said, and they was molded, right? To think they can just mistreat people and it's fine, right? Next card. You're settled down. You all 12 of you were settled down at the fortress. And when you're on the jury, it's a fortress because you can't get out because you get threats of fines and going to jail and all kind of stuff like that. So it's a fortress. You stuck until the judge say you can leave. That's how it goes, right? So Mr.Tyre at the time back then, dealing with all 5 of the officers, he was like in a fortress. They circled him like, in my mind saying like vultures, right? God said he was the light, right? Strike that, I said it wrong. You light up my life. So you didn't look at Mr.Tyre Life as a light, right? But the family and the prosecutors was looking at you all, the jury, as you was going to be the light to this darkness, right? That was created because when Mr.Tyre was murdered, his lights went off. And that means his light, his eyesight and everything else. No more light for him, right? But the family and the prosecutors thought that you was going to bring light, some light to this situation. But you didn't. You just brought more darkness, right? And you need to be simply honest because you all wasn't honest, right? Next one is one of you might eat fish, vegetables, fruit, or peanuts and herbs if they're not allergic. So Mr.Tyre lost his cushions back then in moments, right? All his support, his stability and everything else, because eventually he died from these people. But also his mother and the prosecutors lost their cushions in minutes because you all came back with a not guilty verdict for all 3 of these people. That was just like knocking a chair from underneath for the lawyer and he fall on the floor. That's what you like. It was just like that. Okay. I'm going to get up for a minute. Okay, let's see. I got some more cards. So you want to hear some noise because I have to dig in the basket like this, and I got the box over here. So just bear with me. And here, Hail Mary. Hail Mary, run with me. Hail Mary, come with me. Some of you might be Catholic. You might go to church. You might be Catholic. Hail Mary. But Mr. Tyre died, so Hail Mary is a death. It's about death, right? So Tyre died, and you didn't care about it. If you church people, you didn't care about his life still, even if you church people, where you're not really real like you're supposed to be. You might be church people, but you're not God people. There's a difference. There's a big difference in church people and God people. Because when God people, you listen to what God tell you, not what man tell you. One more. Tell you the verse, you know all about it. Let's just flow. I need some more over here. And hopefully this will be it. You all was looking at the positives in the officers, that they are officers. You didn't want to look at their checkered past. Right? So this is a Tuesday sitting here. So let me see, when did I hear the verdict? Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday I heard it, right? So yesterday was Wednesday, so okay. So you might have went, let me see. You might, because today is Thursday, right? So maybe Tuesday you went in the back, because this card say Tuesday. Maybe you went in the back. Maybe it was Tuesday you went in the back to deliberate and you couldn't come up with it and you came back yesterday. Okay, so this is Tuesday. You was gonna go get, you all was gonna go back and get and decide on the cops, right? The officers, right? Because this card say go get him. So you was gonna go back there, you all, and just decide. So you're gonna go get them, just decide, I'm gonna call it, right? On a Tuesday, you say, right? And I think Tuesday was when you might have went back there, because I heard the verdict yesterday. So yesterday was Wednesday here where I live. You came back and you measured and tested, and it was awful, right? You need to be checked, because you're gambling too much as far as with Mr. Tyre's life. Because these people is guilty, and you know it. So you felt like Mr. Tyre Life was worth nothing. You all, right? So you pick and choose who life is valuable and who deserve jail time, evidently. Right? That's what you decide, right? Okay, let's just flow. So be it. You was dealing with an advisor. An advisor is the judge, right? The judge is the one in charge of the courtroom. But in the back, one of you was dealing with an advisor. Somebody was back there leading the pack. Somebody. It's always like that when you're on the jury. There's always somebody who got a big mouth who's trying to control everything. It's always like that. I've been on 2 trials. I know that. Right? Here it is, a negative. The Wonderland of the Lost Soul. This card means that street, devilish, let me see, street, devilish, sinful people. This is what the cops was to Mr. Tyre back then, because they wanted to make him disrespect himself. So I got to turn it around. They disrespected Mr. Tyre Nichols back then. See, I had to turn it around. And they were street, devilish, sinful to Mr. Tyre back then. Right? So I'm going to turn it around to the jury. You was devilish, street, or sinful. It was sinful. Because you disrespected Mr. Tyre and his mother, coming back with that not guilty verdict. Because you decided you was going to always respect the cops. So I feel like you didn't put them in because there's cops. You was filling your time abusing, and that's what you was. Each guilty, each not guilty, you was abusing his mother and Mr. Tyre. Because you promised, right? It was time for you to act. You all back there promised each other. That's what you was going to come out with, and that's what you came out with. It says it's time to act, and you promised, right? You all decided, right? So you was going to clarify that thing. So the judge always makes sure everybody on the same page, right? And the judge did, right? And you all clarified that, because he'll say, juror number 1, is this your verdict? They talk like that, right? I've been on a trial. I know they do that. And you say yes or you say no. But you do not supposed to let nobody push you into anything, right? Choosing you first was always the best choice. So you felt like choosing, each one of you decided to choose you first, and that was the best choice, or choosing cops was the best choice, however it goes. You had tendencies, and that was a sure thing, maybe, that choosing cops was the first thing, no matter what they did, maybe. Okay, so stop tearing down the emotions. So you needed to filter your ways, because maybe one of you was tearing down another one's emotions back there, or you was tearing down Mr. Tyre's mother, family's emotions, because y'all wasn't filtering your ways, coming back talking about not guilty. And also for the officers with Mr. Tyre back then, they needed to filter their ways, because they was tearing down his emotions, because it's obvious it come from back then. So some kind of way to officers, it come from back then. It's something, it was back then whenever it happened, but still they had a problem with him from something, whatever occurred, something, whatever it was. But it's obvious that you all, right, it come from something back then. And back then would be, you don't go against the cops, evidently. That's all I can say. Look at God. It was unjust. Look at God. It was unjust. Right? And you was dealing with a courthouse. This is the courthouse card. And it say unjust on the other side. So what these officers did to Mr. Tyre Nichols back then was unjust. And they had to go to court, God said. And they went. So they went to the court. But then you all came back with a double whammy. God saying it's unjust at the courthouse. So you was laser focused on giving these officers freedom, right? Because it come from way back. You feel like they don't supposed to go to jail because they officers, right? It's not meant for officers to go to jail, right? That's what your mindset tell you, right? Mr. Tyre, officers back then was laser focused on him, and that's what they did. And they just beat him and beat him and beat him until they killed him. He was like a caterpillar back then. You know what caterpillars do, right? They crawl in the grass, right, on the ground. What was going on, right? Here's a caterpillar. He couldn't get up and be that butterfly, because if he attempted to get up, they would knock him back down to that caterpillar, because they felt like that's where he belonged, on the ground, right? With you all, you needed to bend forward on things, but you didn't. You feel like Mr. Tyre needed to stay the caterpillar also in his family. So we have, you aimed for it and you went on that kitty cat mission. Right? Sneaky. Because the prosecutor thought he had him a set of people who was going to stand up for justice. But you all knew you wasn't going to stand for justice, because you all was for the cops. No matter what they did, you wasn't standing for truth. So the prosecutors didn't know that you was going to come back like that, because they wouldn't have picked you, I'm quite sure. Because usually when the prosecutors and the lawyers be picking people, they pick them for a certain reason. They think they got a chance. Follow me? Over here with Mr. Tyre and the officers, they went on a kitty cat mission, sneaky, aim for him, and that's what they did, right? Let's just see. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So we dealing with money business. So with the officers, you know, they was they usually had to bring people in or do whatever to be able to make their paycheck, right? So the jury, one of you all, some kind of way, maybe you had to get back to work, dealing with money business, had to get back to work or something like that. I don't know. Or one of you might have an ex that was worrying you in your life about money business and you ain't want to miss work or whatever this is. Or we got one of these officers. Wife want him to come home because he paid the bills or whatever's going on. Let's just see. Okay. So we have right here hanging all the way around the corner. All the way around. So these officers was every which way. And they spotted Mr. Tyre. Right? Hanging all around this way, that way. Or they had him around this way and had him around that way. However it went. Right? So I'm going to say with the prosecutors, they went and got you all from wherever they got y'all from. Because you wasn't hanging around the corners to wherever Mr. Tyre was murdered. So they went all the way around, all the way wherever to get you all. Because you wasn't people who live right there. Follow me? So we have that the officers was starving for power when they did what they did to Mr. Tyre back then. But Mr. Tyre needed to make sure they was an adult because they might look like adults, but they was very immature, right? But over here with the jury, the jurors was starving for power. But the prosecutor needed to make sure that they was adults. They might look like adults, but they was very immature because if they decided just because the cops is the cops, that's very immature. Who needs somebody on the jury who's not going to put people in jail that's supposed to be in jail? They need to filter their ways because they felt there's uniquer. So we got maybe some of them people on the jury was cops themselves or cops in their family, some kind of way. Or they get along with them or whatever and they just don't want none of them put in jail because they protect them or something like that, wherever they live. Got number 5, juror 5, called number of grace. So we have somebody might have been eating some kind of meat, might like cherries, might like cinnamon out of one of those drawers, or one of the officers, or maybe Mr. Tyre like those things, or weenies or whatever. Their story was flimsy because they put Mr. Tyre through torture. But this jury verdict was flimsy because they put Mr. Tyre family members through torture. And the prosecutors listening to that nonsense. Because the jury wanted Mr. Tyre family and the prosecutors to brush themselves off. Let bygones be bygones. Let it be their decision just to let bygones be bygones. It's over with. Follow me? But over here with the cops, with Mr. Tyre, one of them, because I did a storyline 2 years back or whenever I did it, one of them had a problem with Mr. Tyre. I don't know if it's one of those 3 or one of them out the 5. But he needed to brush things off and let bygones be bygones and leave Mr. Tyre alone. But it needed to be his decision, get you direct, right? Because he was shelving his problems back then. And it was a crystal layer of hope for Mr. Tyre because he had it in for him. One of the officers, I don't know if it's one of those 3 or the other 2. It was one of them out the 5. So we're going to go back to the jury. It was a crystal layer of hope for Mr. Tyre's family and the prosecutors because these people had their minds made up. Don't be shelving your problems. They weren't going to be shelving their problem. They weren't going to be shelving their problem. So I'm going to take it this way. They wasn't going to be shelving the cops. Shelving means put them in jail in this storyline. They wasn't trying to make the cops a problem. They felt the cops wasn't a problem and they weren't going to put them in jail. I'm trying to turn the card around the storyline. They needed to instill some tenderness for Mr. Tyre, but they didn't. Over here, they needed to instill some tenderness for Mr. Tyre's family. Follow me? No more watering things down. They need to see what they needed to see with the evidence they got, and nowhere in the world they supposed to came back with not guilty for none of them people, right? But back then with the officers, with Mr. Tyre, no more watering things down. They wasn't gonna have no kind of emotions for Mr. Tyre. That's what it means for that one. He was alone, like Mr. Tyre back then was a lone wolf dealing with these people. They looked at him as easy. They can do what they wanted to do. They can bank them, because that's what it's called. They banked them. They was like a mob. Follow me. They banked him. Follow me. He was like a lone wolf. Follow me. They looked at him as easy. Over here with the jury, Mr. Tyre's family, they was like the lone wolf. And these juries looked at it as easy. Well, we don't have to give in to them, because their main thing was not to show and make the police a problem. Follow me? You might look at the police as a problem, but they don't. In this storyline, right? So they was needing more, but not doing enough to make it happen. And stop thinking other people knew more than them. So with Mr. Tyre back then, with these officers, they seemed to think that they knew more than him. He was needing more, but not doing enough to make it happen. So it's really nothing he could do back then with 5 people jumping on him. Not one thing. Over here, so we have over here in the need more, not doing enough to make it happen. So I feel like the prosecutors made things happen by going getting people that didn't live in their state, right? But they thought, like, by getting these people out of another state, that these people, it's say thinking that people know more than what you know. They thought that getting people from another state, it would be different. That they didn't know about the trial, that they would, you know, give an honest verdict, but it didn't go like that. Okay, this is a trust card. You can't trust somebody. So somebody, I don't know who it is, somebody on the jury, or somebody, was it a man on the jury? Somebody couldn't be trusted. Somebody, what it is, I don't know. Or we have out of one of the cops, one of them couldn't be trusted back then. Maybe that main one who had it in for Mr. Tyre, right? Whoever he is, right? Because it was time to act back then, so we can survive. This person might have told them whatever he told them or whatever, and it was time for them to act so they could survive and do whatever to save themselves, or whatever it might have been, whatever that stuff was about back then in the first place. Or over here with the jury, it was time for them to act, go in the back and make some decision after a while, and after a while it's time for them to survive so they can just go home, right, and get out of it, right? So we have that. They had to fix what was on their plate and throw away the scraps. So they was looking at the video and everything else they was doing back then, and they just threw away what they thought didn't serve them, right? But the prosecutors and the family of Mr. Tyre Nichols wanted loyal, so they just picked certain things they wanted to pick, what they thought that wasn't that bad or whatever, and that's how they did it. And they just came on back out. They needed structure back there. They didn't have structure, what you call structure, how to control things in the best way they could. They needed to have structure. They needed to have somebody else back there with some common sense, because they didn't have it. Because anybody with common sense would know that them men should have been going to jail. So over here, how to control things the best way Mr. Tyre could was to have structure, or one of these officers that didn't have structure evidently. So we have, during the time with the officers, they're trying to shine and make Mr. Tyre a hermit. Or Mr. Tyre was shining some kind of way, right? And one of the officers didn't want to be the hermit. So over here, with the trial, with the jury, one of them didn't want to be the hermit while somebody else shined, right? As far as one of them jurors back there. And also, the jurors wasn't going to make the officers the hermit, right? And make Mr. Tyre shine. They weren't trying to make Mr. Tyre shine. And then they weren't going to make, So we have one of the jurors, if they weren't getting high or get high in general, or nervous or anxious or whatever it was, anxiety or whatever, somebody on that juror, one of them people, anxiety, nervousness, something was wrong with one of them people back there. Well, he might have got like that because they was trying to make the decision, get your cell phone for help. So I don't know if one of them got on their cell phone or they wrote some note to send out to the judge or whatever they did. Or they couldn't make a decision some kind of way and they wrote a note maybe and gave it to the judge or they gave it to somebody, whatever they done, right? Over here, so we had one of the officers was high, that main one, off pills or whatever he is taking. Mr. Tyre couldn't get his cell phone for help, but this officer should have got his cell phone for help and went in treatment somewhere because something happened on a weekend. I don't know when this happened to Mr. Tyre, if it was a weekday or weekend, but something happened on a weekend that Mr. Tyre knew about, one of the officers knew about or whatever, right? It could have been this situation that happened or just something else in general. He might have met him somewhere else. I just don't know with that, right? Over here with the jury, something happened on a weekend, whatever it was, that one of them saw. So maybe one of them saw parts of the trial because on a weekend is no court, right? So on a weekend, one of them saw something, whatever they saw on a weekend. Get what I'm saying? They might have saw parts of the trial because we had our computer television card that you heard me say not too long ago. Okay, mention me. Tell her, does Mr. Tyre tell your mommy or a lady as far as this jewelry, right? So I'm going to put it in the middle. So I'm going to see what Mr. Tyre say right now, right? Let me put it there so I can see what it's going to be. Okay, Mr. Tyre is in the spirit, but his mother know that already. But he's going to talk to these jurors that he in the spirit, right? Do not hold him hostage to the death of his self. You holding him hostage for the death of his own self. Right? Now over to his mother. He don't want his mother to hold herself hostage to the death of him. He want her to continue to live her life. Right? Next one is, temperatures was rising in all of the offices. Right? And they needed to control themselves. This was mother, what I'm saying right here. Their lives was their own, and they shouldn't have forced their ways on me. I gotta say it for Mr. Tyre, talking to his mother right here. The temperatures was rising in these officers, in all of them, but they needed to control their ways. Their lives was their own, and they needed not to force their ways on me. I'm talking to his mother right here when I say that. Now, I'm going to take it to Mr. Tyre, to one of the jurors or all of them, whoever it is, right? Temperatures was rising in all of us. So in the back, some kind of way, you all was trying to discuss whatever. You didn't get real loud or whatever, but some kind of way, it might have been some disagreements at first between you all, right? Where one of them or two of them or whoever it is might have said, don't force your your opinion on me, right? Let's say your ways on me, right? Don't force it on me. Your life on me. Your ways on me. Your opinion on me. Get what I'm saying? Your verdict on me. Whatever it is, right? So I feel at least one of them, it was at least one of them that didn't want to go along but wound up going along, right? So race is always going to be here. Somebody need to get a grip. So, let me see something. Is this for Mr. Tyre or is not? Let's see. Mr. Tyre mother or not? We got 2 race cards. Let's see something. This might be. Let me just go back to just talking. Maybe this is enough for Mr. Tyre mother. This next card. Let's just flow. Race is always going to be here. So I'm going to put this with Mr. Tyre mother from Mr. Tyre. They thought they're better than him. Follow me? Over here with the jury. They think the officers, because the officers, they better than Mr. Tyre. They not looking at race. They just looking at their status, right? So we have right here that ducking wouldn't help Mr. Wait a minute. It's like that. Mr. Tyre at the time was handing him the enemy back then. I hear the boys in blue, right? He is wishing for a good decision. Maybe when he stopped the car, whatever happened, right? But over here, the family and the prosecutor was wishing for a good decision as far as the jury, but they're handing him the enemy, right? Yeah. Because something was done strategic, right? Strategic as far as the jury and as far as what happened to Mr. Tyre back then. So this caught the prosecution and the family off guard because something was done strategic, right? Over here with Mr. Tyre, when this happened to him back then, something was done strategic because they aimed for him and they came kitty cat mission when you're sneaking on people. Over here with the joy, something sneaky. Follow me? So we have, because we got one person at least didn't want no parts of it, was trying to go against, right? This caught the lawyers, the prosecutors off guard, and the family members off guard because it's supposed to have been a guilty verdict, right? Okay, it caught Mr. Tyre off guard because they was cross-dressing over here. So over here, I'm going to say there's in their police uniforms, right? They wasn't in their regular clothes, right? The officers, right? So, let me see. I can't see this good. Let me just check this card out. If you met the person cross-dressing, you do not have to take the person back. Or cross-dressing, you don't have to take them back. Okay. Yeah. You might hear one of the drawers that cross-dresses. That's a gay lady, but they ain't got, that's not a bad thing or nothing like that, but I'm just trying to work the cards. Or a man that cross-dresses, one of those drawers. Let's just flow. That's really not important. But I like to take the cross-dressing as being nice and being mean. Take it that way. If it's not originally the cross-dressing, if you met somebody nice and then they want to be mean to you, so you don't have to talk to them then when they be mean to you. So with the cops, if they was kind of not mean at first and then they got mean, right? That's what I'm called a cross-dressing, right? He didn't have to accept that, right? Over here with the jury, some kind of way, maybe, some kind of way one of them disagreed with the other because it was a kinkster back there. Follow me? Somebody who tried to take charge, and we had the other ones trying to supersize, or one other one trying to supersize and just kind of come to a decision. But we have a kinkster back there, and a kinkster would be somebody who trying to lead the pack and be all in charge over here. and try to probably make everybody have the same decision if they want to make it or not, right? Over here, the Kingster card, somebody want to supersize, right? So we got somebody want to supersize with the Kingster, or so we're going to say the Kingster is the head honcho over here as far as whoever is in charge of that police squad they had out there, right? It's a head leader, because this card is that, because I'm not going to put it with drugs or whatever, right? Because that's what card it is, but I don't want to take it that way. I just want to take it with is a leader of that group of men, police that was out there. And one of them wanted to supersize. Or I can just say Mr. Tyre was just trying to get along, follow me? With them, right? So let's just see. Whoa. So we have right here, are you a male or are you a woman, somebody gay since their childhood, maybe one of the jurors, or over here with one of the officers, right? So let's just flow. Okay. They thought things was laughable. One of the officers needed to do things in decency. Or over here, one of the jurors was gay since their childhood. Are you a man or are you a woman? Might cross-dress, or you might not cross-dress, but you thought something was laughable. You need to do things in decency. And it wasn't decent that you came back with a not guilty verdict. So it was hard for whoever, one man, one of you, whoever it is, on this jury to show love to Mr. Tyre. Follow me? Over here, it was a one man culprit over here. It was hard for him to show Mr. Tyre love over here. Shortly, Mr. Tyre was on his way going somewhere, going to wherever he lived, I guess. But over here, shortly, whoever these people is, you're going back to where you came from. Or shortly, yeah. Or shortly, you're going to come to wherever the trial was. Let's just go. So we have number, somebody could be 34 or 43 as far as anybody on the jury, or between 34 and 43 years old. Over here, 34 years old maybe. Okay, so we have or juror 3, juror 4. So we have somebody was in solitude. The juror was in solitude doing thinking, because he had to think. Over here, we had the officers was in solitude. They was doing some thinking while they was doing whatever they was doing. Right? Being different just shows that Mr. Tyre stand out. He's adorable, God says. Over here, with the jurors, being different doesn't mean that Mr. Tyre stood out. But we're going to say over here, with the jurors, being different meant the officers stood out. They was different, right? They was officers. They was black. They stood out and they was black, but that didn't matter because they looked at them as adorable because they were cops. Get what I'm saying? That means that they was acceptable. Okay. So we have, what is this one? Okay, they treated Mr. Tyre like trash. They was on the ledge and on the edge. Fighting, fussing, kicking, hitting, whatever they was doing back then. Over here with the jury, they treated Mr. Tyre like trash also. Because they might have been back there trying to make a decision on the ledge, trying to decide, one edge, trying to figure out which way to go or whatever. Because it was at least one person that wasn't for it. We got number 8. I'm going to throw drawer 8. These numbers I'm going to use as drawers just because the numbers coming out, okay? Okay, so we have temporarily, the officers abused their power. All of them did. One main one or all of them with Mr. Tyre back then. Over here, temporarily, the jurors abused their power, or one of them did, because that's abuse of power. You know it's police brutality, and you sit there and you like let it go about and let it happen, and you see that it's police brutality, and you sit and say not guilty. So you abuse your power, just like they did, because you was on the jury and you're supposed to come back with the right verdict. One of you could be a gay girl, or a gay man, or whoever that is over there, or over here one of these officers might deal with a lady who's gay or something like that, or one of them is gay themselves. Okay, that's shucks. Bear with me if I get the card. Okay, let's see. Bear with me. I'm trying to get it. Okay, let's see. This card is what? Okay, the Mr.Tyre thoughts were swirling in his mind at the duplex, at whatever area he was at. It might have been around some houses. I just don't know where he was at. It was an area, but it was some kind of house around or building around, because I see a duplex. So we're going to say that for the jurors, I'm going to call the jury room, wherever they was in the back, the duplex, right? They was in an actual building, a courthouse. So thoughts were swirling in their mind, trying to come up with a decision. At one point, they did some kind of eating, because we got the card up there, meat with sauce, or whatever they was eating, right? So we have with one of the jurors, somebody on the jury, or one of them on the jury, didn't want somebody to go against. Try me if you dare. That's a threat card. Didn't want somebody to go against. Get what I'm saying? Over here, with Mr.Tyre, they was looking at it like, try me if you dare. You try to hit back, you try to defend yourself, you try to do this, try to get away or whatever. Try me if you dare. That's a threat card. So far it looks like it was at least one, if not two jurors, some kind of way, who wasn't for it. But they got talked into it, or whatever happened. Whatever happened as far as them, where that verdict came back like it came back, because these people was for the cops. No matter what color they are, they was for the cops, because they molded to be that way from way back when. No matter what cops do, they still right. Just like back in slavery days, or whenever it was with black people. People can rape and do all kind of stuff they did back then. And as long as a person was white, they was right. Get what I'm saying? I'm using an example here. So we got a set of people like that. They molded. No matter what the cop do, he right, because cops is the cops, and they don't go to jail. And that's how these people minds was. They was molded. And it ain't just started. They been like that. But the prosecutors thought by getting these people from wherever they would be different, because they didn't see the trial or whatever, but maybe it wasn't quite like that, because some kind of way something happened on the weekend. So something happened on the weekend, so I don't know if they could go home, or if they could go talk, or whatever, on a cell phone and talk to people, whatever they could do at that time. I don't know. But something happened on the weekend for one of them jurors, and definitely something happened with one of these officers and Mr.Tyre. Right? So let's just see. Let me just see if I can kind of you know all about it. So far I can see that they decided, because they was molded a certain way, that cops don't go to jail. There was a crystal layer of hope for the prosecution. They thought that they was gonna get somewhere with these people, but they didn't. They went all out to make it happen, but they didn't. And these cops was tired of Mr. Tyre's mouth, and they wanted him to shut up back then too. The sounds of him got on their nerves. But if you're hitting on people and you expect somebody to act like their table, like I'm hitting my table and my table don't feel it, you're dealing with a human being and you expect the person not to respond. Where do you get that training from? I mean, really, where did that come from? Really, where do it come from? When you hit somebody, people feel that because they're a person. And then ain't nobody gonna sit there and let you just hit them and they don't respond. Nobody. I mean nobody, not even a kid. Nobody. You're not gonna keep hitting somebody and they gonna put their hands up to try to stop you. Nobody. You might have somebody that sit there and let it happen, but I don't think a lot of people is gonna let that happen. They'll go to jail first or whatever happens. You're not gonna sit there and keep beating on them and they just sit there and act like they don't have feelings. You know. But that's what you wanted Mr. Tyre to do. So y'all just had a good time with Mr. Tyre. You just used him as your human punching bag. You had a good time, right? He had deep feelings, dealing something judicious. You all rose to the occasion and beat him at his own game. That was set. Time set. Went there picking with him. Because there's a main man that had a problem with Mr. Tyre. He has the bad car, and that would be the cop car. Follow? Because you did something about whatever date. It don't have to be the 15th. Whatever date you did, whatever you did. The one who started all of this mess. Because you assess things. And you was assertive. Mr. Tyre wanted peace for a checkmate, but you wasn't trying to have that. So that's why you in court now. Looking at things realistically, the reality of things, you should have just, if he needed a ticket, you should have just made it where he can go to court. A special delivery for sure. I'm going to say you could have just gave him a ticket with that special delivery card and just let him go to court for a ticket and that be it. But you ain't want it like that. Wearing certain kind of clothes, revealing clothes, did it. You had cop clothes on. If he know you, should he tell on you? Or he saw you somewhere before. Okay, let's just flow. He is a beautiful dreamer, but he is tired of putting up with y'all crap. One of you or all of you. Okay? So let's just see. You might have put a chokehold on him. You definitely made his life pause. Something happened in September. You weren't valuing others, none of you. Newsflash. God says it's wake up time. So, let's see. Let me just get something to end it. So that's the officers right there, but let's explore a little bit. Okay. So let's leave this alone for the officers and go back to the jury real fast. If there's anything else for the jury universe, is there anything else, or did we cover everything for them? So you got another set of cops. Whenever that's going to be their trial, so I don't know what's going to happen with those people. But the jury just smacked Mr. Tyre's mother in the face over and over. Each one that said not guilty, with each one of them officers, that was a smack to her. That's what you was doing. And you might say you just spit on him. With each one of them not guilties, it's like you spit on him. But for his mother, it was smacks. Get my drift. Because you was picking people in the order of, and the prosecutor picked you all in the order of. This card say pick people because of, in the order of, and you picked jurors in the order of. They thought you would be an asset, but you wasn't an asset. You was damaged because you went against with everything, right? But the cops be picking people in the order of when they do the traffic stops like they did Mr. Tyre. Follow me? So let's just go a little bit. Let me see. I'm trying to end it. Anyways. I had a field day. They had a field day. They need not jeopardize, but they did. They jeopardized. They jeopardized things and just did what they did. They didn't really care about Mr. Tyre. They came there to save the officers. They didn't come for justice for him. They came for justice for the officers. They didn't come for justice for Mr. Tyre's family. Let's just say one more. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's just see. Okay, we're gonna end it. I'm gonna try to end it right here. Let's just see what this one is. Somebody got paid. Yeah, you get paid to be a juror. Where I live at, you get paid $15. I don't think they went up yet, but it was $15. $15 before. So they did go up from $10. So somebody got paid, and you all got paid because it's picking people in the order of. That's jury duty. I don't know how much you get paid at where you live at. You put this over here. So we have right here that we got one of the men, mainly one of the officers, was really animalistic to Mr. Tyre Nichols, even though all of them was. But one main one had a problem with him. Or one might have been in the jury room, right? Controlling and dominating, get my drift. Where he needed to simmer down because he wanted his needs met, and that was to come to a decision. Or over here with Mr. Tyre, with this officer, right? So we have right here that it was going to be some revamping all night, and that would be with the jury, however long, all day, however they did it as far as the verdict. So we have right here the officer wanted to get sky high, and it was expressing, and it was just going over the top. Somebody was searching for something on the computer. One of the officers, one of the jurors, or the lawyers in general trying to find a jury or whatever this is. So we got the player that was searching for love. So we have the boss, or we have the lawyer. We're going to call the lawyer the player for right now. He's searching for love. He's trying to get jurors, right? Decent jurors, right? I'm going to say. Picking people in the order of, remember. And jurors get paid. Follow me? So over here, if we go to the cops over here, we got one of the cops is like a player searching for love. He had a problem as far as searching for love, woman problems or whatever he might have had. Or we got Mr. Tyre was searching for love, and we're going to change it to the cops, and the cops was considered the boss at the time because they like the boss, right, to whoever you are when they stop you with the car. So he's searching for love, right? Niceness, follow me? Okay. No matter his crime, he's gonna keep going front and center, Mr. Tyre. Okay. He wasn't gonna get talked down to because he showed his emotions. So we have right here that Mr. Tyre's mother was gonna, no matter her crime, she was gonna keep God front and center, and she was gonna not show her emotions even though she is talked down to. So the talk down to would mean that the not guilty verdict would stand for that in the storyline because she is nervous at a place, and that would be the courthouse. Or over here, Mr. Tyre was nervous at whatever this place was, wherever they had him helped up. Follow me? So we have that they was going to be competitive and able for them to gain. No more innocence. They didn't care about his nice or anything, right? Over here with the jury, it might have been one that was going against, and they didn't want the person to be competitive, right? Because they was trying to gain and just come up with a decision. No more time for niceness, right? They wanted a decision made, and they wanted the person to take charge and make a decision. So we got adoption card. So I'm going to put it with the juror. I'm going to put it with both, but just let me say it. Adoption sometimes becomes a monster. So the jury was adopted. Being adopted means that they held. Because when you are on a jury, they hold you, they control you, they say if you don't come, you're going to jail or you're getting fined, things like that, they say, right? So the jury blaming things on being adopted, being stuck, being controlled, because you're being controlled when you're a juror. Follow me? They was adopted. They was in that room for however long they was in there, how many days they was there, what was going on, and it became a monster. Get what I'm saying? They felt like it was a monster, right? Over here with the Mr. Tyre and these cops back then, they was like a monster. They was being adopted. They was trained by who they was trained by, and it made them a monster, right? Or one of them wasn't raised by his mother, or was raised by his mother and his mother didn't show him deep down love, or he is in adoption some kind of way where it made him a monster, or he just was trained and molded to be a monster. Or all of them, however it goes, right? Mainly one. Addictions play a part because one of them was taking pills. He had to find out why he stuck with it so long. So over here with the jewelry, they had addiction some kind of way. An addiction they might have had in thinking and feeling that cops is always right. And why did they stick with it so long? Because these cops was not right. And the video footage shows it. They wanted the cops to beam, right? Or they wanted to beam to show their spirituality, right? They didn't learn the lessons though. It say learn all the lessons needed. They didn't learn the lessons that they needed to learn, right? But over here with Mr. Tyre, he is going to beam to show his spirituality, and they wanted him to learn all the lessons needed, whatever they wanted him to learn or do or whatever it was. So one of the cops might wanted to save some money, was stepping out on his wife, or his wife or his woman was stepping out on him, right? Over here with the jewelry, one of them wife, husband, or somebody stepping out, or they just stepping out, coming to the courthouse, giving the courthouse time. Get what I'm saying? Right? Because you're giving time, your emotions to something else besides your husband or your woman that you have home. They wanted to save some money. Not want the trial to drag on a long time, maybe, or whatever. What's this flow? Interacting with drugs. This officer over here, one of them might be pain pills or whatever. Or one of these drawers was going through some kind of pain, maybe, and was interacting with pain, or taking some kind of pain pill because they was in pain or something. One of them. Or just interacting with some kind of drug. One of them. So we have right here, nervous. Strike that. Chewing on luxurious. So we got over here with the cops. One of them was chewing on luxurious, or all of them. Making money, getting money, living a good life. Also over here with the drawers. One of them was thinking about chewing on luxurious. Living a good life, having money, just living a good life or whatever, right? But over here, they was treating Mr. Tyre like an animal, and he didn't want to bow down to these people no more. He was tired of them. That's what I'm saying. Over here, they wanted to control, and they didn't want to keep bowing down to somebody on the jury. I think one of them was not giving in. They wrote Mr. Tyre off like a twig on the tree with that decision saying not guilty. Over here with the officers, they actually did it physically. Took his life away. They need to have a clear mind. Shouting from the rooftops. But this jury needed to have a clear mind over here, because it was tension in the case of Mr. Tyre, and definitely with the jury back then. I'm trying to make a decision. So Mr. Tyre, parents had to enjoy their life that God continues to give them and be happy again after this situation. But these officers just want to go mosey on home and have a good life again. Continue living. And these jurors also, after they let these people go free that you know are guilty. There's a prosecute card. Here's God. Look at God. Here's a guard card. Look at this, a guard card. Do I need to prosecute? Here is the guard card. One of them. Do I need to prosecute? And this card means yes. So this is for the jury, and I'm putting it over there. You suppose it came back with guilty verdict, but you didn't. God said you needed to prosecute, but you didn't, right? Knowing him do not matter. Mr. Tyre was the star in the light. He was the victim. You knowing these people, what you see them as, what you was molded to believe and be like all your life, don't matter, God says. They need to be prosecuted against. Mr. Tyre was the star in the light. He was the victim. Over here with Mr. Tyre's family or whoever needed to prosecute against these cops back then, we'd go to jail or whatever needed to happen back then because Mr. Tyre was the star in the light. But these jurors over here felt like the officers was the star in the light. Get what I just said, right? They felt they was marvelous and we can make it. So they made it where they can make it, right? Because they set them free or whatever they did, right? Over here, they thought it was a marvelous beating on Mr. Tyre and they felt like we can make it. Mr. Tyre was meant for greatness. And these officers knew it because he probably was the kindest person out of that bunch of people. Because they was from the wonderland of the lost souls. They were cops. That's street. That's sinful. That's devilish, right? Why did they allow themselves to be molded? But he wasn't gonna, they wanted him to allow himself to be molded by them. I don't know what they wanted out of him because it was all of those cops there. I don't really know what they wanted. I don't see why they just didn't put handcuffs and put him in a car. It just was on a crazy side. One cop pulled one hand, another cop pulled another hand, and another one put the handcuffs on. If he was on the ground, one put cuffs on the leg, if that's how they do it. And then put him in the car. I mean, it made no sense. It was ridiculous. Over here with the jury. You allowed yourself to be molded because you felt like because the people are cops, they can get away with things. And you taught them that it's fine to just murder people and just waltz on away. But any other citizen, you would want that person in jail, right? You're hell-bent on destruction, and that is letting them go. Over here with the cops, they was hell-bent on destruction, and that is beating up Mr. Tyre and murdering him. They challenged it and they spectated, but you as the jury, you spectated and you challenged it and you went against putting them in jail where they truly belong, right? Because something come from one of your childhood or all of your childhood, all of you, because you are molded to feel like the cops don't do no wrong. So we got number 4, number 1, juror 4, whoever you are, juror 5. Something downtown, drowning in the sea of feelings you can't recover from. So this was Mr. Tyre. I'm going to say Mr. Tyre card where he's in the hospital drowning from the feelings he couldn't recover from. I'm going to say the hospital, even though that's not a hospital card. And I'm going to use it for his parents. They was going through whatever they was going through from this happening to their child, their son. So we have, they decided to pluck, let me see if this is the right card. They decided to pluck Mr. Tyre because they felt like he was a turncoat. He didn't do what they wanted or whatever it may be. Over here, with this jury, they decided to pluck Mr. Tyre because they felt like he wasn't relevant because they didn't want to be a turncoat. They didn't want to go against the men in blue, the cops. They was peeling off everything in the back room, wherever they was talking, to make a decision to make sure they didn't go against the cops. And they abused their power when they did that. Because when you be a juror, you're supposed to come back and do the right thing. You don't supposed to just say because somebody's a cop, they don't go to jail. That ain't how a jury's supposed to work. If that's the case, people can have people out just like that. Okay, so we have over here, they abused their power and let off every meanness or whatever they had about them on Mr. Tyre. And that's what they did, these people. He was wallowing in his pain. He was simply the best, God says. Okay? Okay, what's next, God? So we're going to say from Mr. Tyre's mother and parents, his parents and family. Okay, what's next, God? Because over here with the jury, they did what they did. So God, what's next? Right? So we have right here, this is a disease card, a racist card, and really is a HIV card, really, but it's a disease. I can make it a disease or racist card, if not HIV. Somebody got HIV out of somebody, from the jury to an officer, somebody. If not that, somebody got a disease. If it's COVID or whatever they got, if it's none of that, somebody racist. If it's none of that either, it's just somebody think they better than. And then you heard all of the meanings I said, right? Mr. Tyre wanted these people to bring in a fresh emotion and welcome in a flow of love. But the prosecutor wanted these people to bring in a flow of love and welcome in fresh emotion, but they didn't do that because the prosecution was dealing with a shark and the jury was the shark. Follow me? So the defense team was what they was, but in this storyline, the jury is the shark. Get what I just said over here? Mr. Tyre was dealing with a shark because it was one main one that was really headed in for him. Because he knew his girlfriend or somebody, because it was in my last storyline back then. So Mr. Tyre ended up on the ground. He might have been saying a praying side, anything like in his mind, right? What time it is. Okay. They moved fast and committed manslaughter, all of them, against Mr. Tyre, and God bringing it on the table. So I don't know why this jury act like they didn't see that. God saying it right here with this card. They moved fast on it and committed manslaughter. Did something without a cause. He didn't do anything to these people. But we got the jury over here. They moved fast on things and they did something without a cause. And what they did was decide to find them not guilty. Right? Because they was trying to weather things out with their person. And their person would be the cops. Right? Or somebody that was dealing with at their house. Or over here, one of the cops was trying to weather things out with somebody's home or whatever this is. Or Mr. Tyre was trying to weather out things with these cops where things can get decent and all, but it just wasn't getting like that. So we had one of the cops was needed to look for another job. Put your name on a lottery ticket, a slot, or another job, because I guess you needed one. Or one of these people that's on this jury is trying to get home, right, to get some money. So we have that. I'm trying to finish this up. It's challenging. That's why we can't make it. So the cops and Mr. Tyre, that's why they can't make it, because they go and pick him with people for nothing, because they did whatever they did to him for nothing. Well, it was one main shark, but the other people, you know, they just joined in, I guess. So we have over here that's why we can't make it, right? It's challenging. So that would be for the family of Mr. Tyre, because it wasn't justice. That's why we can't make it. Things can't be right, because you won't correct people when you need to. Somebody's homosexual and is hidden out of one of the cops. If not that, one of the people on the jury. Ain't a big deal, but anyway. So we had Mr. Tyre was bruised, but he is still a self inside. He had to be calm to conquer this thing and what was happening to him back then. Even though the family was bruised over here, but they were still themselves inside, because the jury decided you was going to be calm in yourself and conquer this thing, and that is find the defendants not guilty. So we got the box right here. You decide you didn't want to put them in a box. That would be the jailhouse. Follow me? Over here with this, the cops, they decided to put Mr. Tyre in a box, and that's the casket, okay? So somebody gave somebody something over here. So I don't know what this is. Somebody gave somebody something that was chinchy over here as far as, so I don't know if it was a ticket or what this was. I don't know. don't know. They might have gave Mr. Tyre a ticket. It ain't cost a lot, or I don't know. Or they was dealing. One officer was dealing with his woman friend, and he might brought her perfume or brought her something chinchy and cheap or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe they was buying something somewhere else and it was cheap or whatever this is. Or we got over here that something was given over here to one of the drawers, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say the drawers with this chinchy. I'm gonna put it with the verdict. They came out and they gave the judge this chinchy verdict because the next card says that it was impossible. It was impossible. Need a Jesus double miracle for that jury to give in and put those men in jail like they should have. It was impossible. It was made impossible. It was meant to be impossible. Get my drift? The family was having faith over all the prosecutors, but it was meant to be, it was made to be impossible. It was meant, it was strategic. It was meant to. Over here, with Mr. Tyre over here, these cops over here, it was strategic. They meant to do what they meant to do, beat them up like they beat them up. That was a plan. That's what one of them actually planned. Mainly one of them, but everybody else followed or whatever. It was made impossible for him to survive or to get out of that situation, because that was what the plan was. Make it impossible, because they was going to be the warrior over here. He wanted peace within and have a stable mind, but they wanted to be that warrior because they felt they was the warrior, because they cops, right? Over here with the jury, they was going to be that warrior, right? They wasn't going to let Mr. Tyre family win, or Mr. Tyre win, because they felt like they was the warrior and they felt like the cops the warrior. Follow me? So they had peace within, they have a stable mind. They was going to make sure the cops be the warrior. Get what I'm saying? And they was going to be the warriors to the cops, right? Something was extraordinary that they needed to send back to the sender, right? So it was extraordinary for these people here to be putting the cops in jail, I guess. So they're going to send that back to the sender. That means, no, they not going to jail. Get what I'm saying? But the family wanted to send this back to the sender and the prosecutor. That decision that was made. Over here with the guys beating on Mr. Tyre, it was extraordinary. Right? They needed to return that back to the sender, take that stuff back where it came from. So we have, okay, we got the insurance card. Something was, somebody wanted to occur. So over here with Mr. Tyre, somebody wanted insurance to make sure something happened. Follow me? With Mr. Tyre, this is the insurance card. Make sure you can get him here. Make sure he don't go nowhere, or whatever it is. Something was needed to be secured. This is insurance card. No doubt, we gotta make sure this happens. No doubt. Over here, this is an insurance card over here too. It's like, make sure, no doubt, that it happens, what they want to happen. And what they want to happen is for the officers not to go to jail, because that's not what usually happens. So they was going to make sure that don't happen. And it needed to be sowing a seed. This card says sow a seed of non-doubt. Make sure that the officer is going to be the warrior. Follow what I said? So we have right here, that was a chinchy verdict. Follow me? For the family. Because the family was bruised, but they were still themselves inside. So we had a jury was going to be calm in their self, because they was going to conquer this thing, because that was the plan. They're going to conquer this thing. They're posing as who they wasn't, right? They're seeking refuge, being in the jury room, being on the trial, but they're posing as who they wasn't. So they're posing as they somebody who really for the law or for justice or whatever, but they wasn't. Get what I'm saying? Okay, over here we got the cops with Mr. Tyre. They're posing as who they wasn't, because then they say cops supposed to protect and serve. Well, you wasn't protecting and serving Mr. Tyre. No way in the world that was protecting Mr. Tyre. He was seeking refuge. in his car, wherever he was at. We got number 25. Or we got drawer 2, drawer 5. Or we got drawer 7. Okay, so let's flow. It was premeditated on both sides, over here with the jury and over here with Mr. Tyre. Follow me? Be a realist, right? It was a premeditated, both sides. Okay. Wait a minute. Almost finished. Okay, I'm back again. Let's just see. Okay, something was premeditated on both sides. With the cops back then and stopping Mr. Tyre, fighting him and all this kind of stuff, because one of them had a problem with him that the other ones might didn't know about. I just don't know if they knew or not, but one of them had a problem with him. Over here with the jury is premeditated also. Follow me? It was meant for the cops to be the warrior, because that's the plan, because these people molded that cops don't go to jail. It come from way back, right? You're the light. Mention us, the brass love one. I'm the brass love one, healer tarot. Mention us. So this would be Mr. Tyre Nichols. Okay. Do a shuffle. One nod. Okay. Where did they get that behavior at, thinking it's love? The officers toward him or the jury? This is real life, not snowballs and lollipops. To the officers or to the jury? Let's see the next one. He had to move away from anything that annoyed him in a situation, but he couldn't get away. They wouldn't let him get away. But the jury needed to move away from anything that annoyed them. So they wanted to move away from anything that annoyed them, and trying to put the cops in jail is something that annoyed them. Follow me? When you start to feel the real, you're going to come out. So being in the back, the real them came out, and they actually showed the prosecuting attorneys that that's the real them. They do not put cops in jail. Over here with Mr. Tyre and the officers, he wanted to get away, but he couldn't. When he started to feel the real him was going to come out. So Mr. Tyre might have tried to defend himself at one point. I don't know, because, or the real them came out. Because if they was acting like they nice all the time, the real them came out, however it flows. Okay? You have a chance at love. Step into your kingship. So they felt like they wanted to step into their kingship, right? One of them had a chance at love, or Mr. Tyre had a chance at love, and he was going to step into his kingship with a nice young lady, right? Or we got one of these jurors was going to step into their queenship or kingship, because one of them had a chance at love. Or one of them was going to step into their queenship or kingship, or whoever was on that jury, because their chance at love would be to keep the cops out of jail. Follow me? So the family was looking at what's the cause of that anger, because it feel like anger. If you don't want to put the cops in jail, people in jail, you don't even have to be the cops, but anybody in jail, but usually anybody else would go to jail. That's the thing about it. What is the cause of your decision? Why didn't you put him in jail where he belongs? So it leaves the family and the prosecutors with that and wondering, well, why didn't you? They don't know the cause of it, why you didn't do it. Okay? But you molded to stuff from way back then where you don't put cops in jail. You feel that ain't where they belong. Right? So we have numbers. 4, 6, 5, and 8. I keep saying 5, so that's God's number of grace, but it could be who's drawer number 4, 6, 5, or 8. Or 10. Let's just go a little bit. So we have Mr. Tyre didn't know the cause of these people's anger. But we got a secret right here that somebody know. So Mr. Tyre knew a secret about one of these officers. Or one of these officers knew a secret that they wasn't saying to the other officers or whatever. But over here, one of the drawers knew a secret. But God said you need to tell it. Okay? Because it's time to invest and get those cops in jail where they belong. But you didn't invest. But you know a secret. Right? Okay? It is nice to want to help at home, but in some cases it won't work. So this would be for the prosecutor. The prosecution team got a set of people from wherever they got them from. They didn't come from their hometown. Get what I'm saying? Listen to this card. They wanted to invest to gain. They wanted to invest to gain. So they got people from somewhere else, wherever they got them from. They wanted to invest to gain. It was nice to want to help at home. That means get people from where they live, but they felt that it wasn't going to work. Get what the card's saying. In some cases, it don't work, and they felt like, in this case, it's not going to work. We got to step out and get somebody from somewhere else, and that's what they did. So they invested and able to gain. Follow me. So over here with the policeman, with Mr. Tyre, they was going to invest to gain. It was nice to want to help at home, but in some cases it won't help. So I don't know if Mr. Tyre was coming from work or whatever this is with over this side. So somebody got different hair from Mr. Tyre over here on his jaw. So Mr. Tyre needed to believe in in God's word, not man's word. Or the officers needed to believe in God's words, not man's word, because we got one main one that might have told all them other ones to come along, right? And they didn't know a secret. They didn't know why. They just went and jumped on in. Or this go over here with the jewelry, right? Believing in man's word, but they needed to believe in God's word. So we got number 10, we got drawer 10. So we have right here that the jewelry needed to look in the mirror because it was meant to tell them the truth. So when they looked at that videotape, however many times they looked at it, that was their mirror. And it was going to tell them the truth, and it did. Right? They need to look with both their eyes and see. And they saw, because they didn't say nobody was blind on the jewelry, right? But so they decided, oh no, we're not going to go off of what we see in God's word. God's word is they got to get justice. Justice is due. They believed in man's word. No, you don't supposed to put cops in jail. That's man's word. Mirror is meant to tell the cops the truth over here and look with both eyes when it came down to Mr. Tyre. So Mr. Tyre might have looked in his mirror some kind of way and he saw them coming maybe, or they saw him coming, or however in their mirror, whatever it is. Detention time away. So they made it where Mr. Tyre had detention time away. When they had him somewhere hostage, because that's what you call it when you got somebody held up somewhere and you won't let them go. They had him somewhere captive, wherever they had him at, whatever area of town, wherever they had him, right? If you met him straight, you're not obligated to hit him back yay. So Mr. Tyre might have seen one of these people somewhere, and the person might have seemed like the person was straight, but they was gay. That might be a secret that he knew, and they didn't want him to tell. Or over here with the jewelry, it was detention time away because they went in the back to deliberate, right? If you met the person straight, you're not obligated to take the person back gay. So I'm going to say with the jewelry that some kind of way back there somebody was disagreeing. So we got this card right here that somebody was resistant, right? As far as, or Mr. Tyre was resistant, maybe to stop the card first because he was looking out his mirror maybe, or they was resistant because one of them wasn't all there. All of them wasn't all there, but mainly one of them, that one who had an info. So over here, the jury was resistant. They wasn't all there. What simply just mean for them is they saw what they needed to see because the mirror was showing them the truth, and that would be that video, whatever video they was looking at. But there's resistance to take it as truth. Get what I'm saying? There's resistance to take it as truth. So not all there usually go with if you are something wrong with your mind or something. So they act like something's wrong with their mind. You know, when somebody mixed up and they confused. So that's what they act like. They're confused or something. They act like they're confused or something like that. Like when somebody confused, you don't know what you're seeing, you don't know what you're doing, stuff like that. Yeah, so they came back with a verdict that they came back with where leave people saying, was something wrong with them? I'm going to use that phrase. They was not all there. So they came back with a verdict like they wasn't all there. Like something's wrong with their minds. Get what I'm saying? Get what I'm saying? Okay, so is that it in the universe? I just think we did really good with this as far as talking about these drawers, and I think we did good. We did good, I feel, because really it was strategic, and they didn't plan on putting them in jail all alone. That was the plan, not to even do that. Not for the prosecutors, but for that jury, those people there. Because those people was all for blue. They was all for the police not going to jail because they was molded to be like that. Right? Because that's how it always been. It don't matter what color the police is, where they come from or whatever. Police don't go to jail. Get what I'm saying? And they wasn't going to conform to that. They didn't. They lied though, because they sit and said that they come in and they're going to do justice and serve justice and do what they supposed to do as far as the victim, but they didn't do that. They came and they went a whole nother direction because that was the plan anyway. So let me just give one more. Okay, this is like the they owe an apology though. Mastermind. Coupled off with Satan. Just wanted peace. So, Mr. Tyre's mother and family was coupled off with Satan. Because the joy was Satan. You know what Satan is? Negative, right? Negative. Steal, kill, destroy. That's what Satan do, right? So they was all for these cops killing and destroying, right? They created a shockwave because there's a mastermind. They already knew they weren't gonna prosecute. It helped them up. There's pinpointing the action that helped them up, and that was being in that jury room. They owe an insane apology, God says to the family, and now's the time. You need to open your mouth because you know it was wrong, what you did. Maybe somebody gay back there. He might have been quiet, I don't know, so let's just go. Anything else? Okay, this is the scales, right? The courtroom got the scales in it, right? That's the Libra sign, right? The family wanted balance, equal, right? But they didn't get it because we got these other people. The juror was thinking business-minded. They didn't want equal and fairness. They had a mindset of business, and that is you don't lock up the police, right? Right? Even though there's in a courtroom with the scales right there that lets you know that you're supposed to be coming in and making things fair and right. Because somebody was vengeful, and he is there. So the policemen, they was vengeful for what they did with Mr. Tyre, and they were there. Right? So let's see if there's anything else. There's dealing with the resource, with paperwork, and that would be the court, right? It definitely was. They got ecstatic themselves, right? Not the family. So the family had to find other ways to pleasure themselves because this jury wasn't going to pleasure them and give them the answer they needed. You must stay on your path. They're going to stay on their path, and their path was to make sure them officers don't go to jail, right? They had a lot of feelings to express in that back room or whatever they did. Or the family got a lot of them. Okay, anything else? So we have right here that they was energy seeking, the officers back then, right? But the jury was energy seeking. And It says, if you love black, you want to see it for what it is. This is a racist card, but since we dealing with the jury, and they probably was white, I don't know what they look like. They decided to not see race right there, right? This is a racist card though, but they decided not to see race. They just saw them as officers. Get what I'm saying? If you love black, see it for what it is. So they looked at them as, I see that he black, but he an officer. Get what I'm saying? They ain't say, oh, he black, but I can't stand black people. No, they looked at, I see that he black, but he's an officer. Get what I'm saying? So we have right here that don't blame others for your loss. So they wanted it to be like where the family don't blame others for their loss. Don't blame them for their loss. Don't blame the officers for your loss. Get what I'm saying? So we got the officers. Please, God, save me. Please, God, save me. We got Mr.Tyre, but I feel it's the officers because all this is going with those people on the jury. Okay. This a carbon copy of something that happened before. That was an issue. Okay. Okay, let me just see. I'm trying to end it. A little bit more. I'm trying to get a little bit more for Mr.Tyre. No, I'm really trying to focus on the story. June was the last resort. It was an issue because it was a countdown to recovery for the family to have this trial, to actually make this stuff happen and all. But it just didn't go as planned, and that is thinking the jury was going to be fair like they're supposed to and put these people behind bars. They didn't do it. Okay. God wanted them to put the brakes on things, but they didn't. All of them decided back then. Right? Because we got a man who wanted his cup filled. So we already know the defense attorneys, they want their cup filled because they want to win, right? They don't care anything about these people killed somebody, Mr.Tyre. Or we going to put it with somebody in that jury room wanted the cup filled. That means time, romance, or money, right? Somebody in that jury room wanted somebody to put the brakes on things and to come up to par. Get what I'm saying? Because all the time people don't agree. And people be trying to convince you to agree. She knows the truth. She's not innocent in it all. So we got a lady that's back there that was on the battlefield. And she know the truth. She's not innocent in it all. She already know. So we have right here, it says it's on a period of time. So somebody was talking to her, trying to change her mind probably. Maybe trying to get her to agree some kind of way, right? Or we got somebody in the back that's getting married maybe, and that person is going to call them to get married, or one of these officers, one of their women they got or whatever they might want to marry or anything like that. Okay, so we got by the grass, by the park, or by something. We already know back then Mr.Tyre and these people was crying on him, fighting him, right? Thinking they was better than him. His life, he was happy with his life though. They might have been calling him the N-word because it's a racist God. They need to see what was troubling them, right? Okay, they got splashes of joy. Is their eyes telling them the truth back then? Beating on Mr.Tyre. Or just dealing with the court system when the verdict came in, they was happy. So we have right here that one of the officers went somewhere. They stayed a little while, or stayed all night. So this is not a jail card, but maybe splashes of joy because they ain't have to go and stay at jail. This is really not my jail card. Some hotel maybe, if not a jail, or some place. Or Mr.Tyre went somewhere that day with somebody he know. Well, let's see. Back then, let's see. So we have Mr. Tyre had captured an opportunity at the lighthouse, and that would be the hospital, but one of them officers needed some kind of treatment, or one of these people that is a juror, right? So the jurors might have been at a hotel. They stayed a little while, right? They might have been taken there or shown the place or whatever. They're really not familiar with it good because they don't live where the trial was, right? My lawyer says so. They're dealing with a lawyer some kind of way, one of them, or one of the cops, right? Had to remember what they are. So we got a lady that was pretty. So one of the officers had a lady who was pretty, some kind of way. I'm scared, but you can call somebody. So, or we got one of the jurors is pretty, but she's scared, but she might want to call somebody and tell somebody that she didn't want to agree with everything, but she felt forced maybe. Or we dealing with one of the officers and a woman that the officer knows some kind of way that was pretty, he felt like, or whatever, and Mr. Tyre was scared, but he could call somebody. Let me just see for a minute. Or one of those jurors. Okay, dealing with jobs. Neutral, not a lot of work, some kind of way. And one of the jurors, Mr. Tyre, or these cops. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to end it. Okay, let's just see. Okay, so jobs were scared some kind of way for the officers, for Mr. Tyre, or for one of the jurors. So we had somebody, gave somebody something to butter somebody up, some kind of money. So either Mr. Tyre got a traffic stop and he's going to pay a ticket, or we got one of the officers with a woman that he knew he was pretty much trying to buy her something, maybe to butter her up, or we got one of the jurors that was working on getting a job or buying something for a person that they know, sharing and telling in a support group. So I'm going to put this with the jury. So somebody, hopefully nobody gave nobody no money or whatever, but you know, let's just flow and keep going. But this will serve as the jury support group, sharing and telling, inviting in the support group. So we got right here, this washing of hands on African American. So the jury decided they're going to wash their hands on the African American, Mr. Tyre Nichols, because the officer's already done it, okay? So we have right here that he needed sensitivity and tenderness, but the jury didn't give it. Working with children was his path, follow me? So something was online that was going to conclude. So if not an actual sale and buying something one of the jurors was going to buy, or one of the officers was going to buy back then, or Mr. Tyre wasn't going to buy back then, this would be, it was some kind of article or something online as far as this case is going to conclude. It happened back then, or it's happening now, or whatever. Article, video, or whatever. Anything as far as this court or just the situation in general. Morally, one of them officers knew that he was wrong for starting this up in the first place, but then morally, one of these jurors know they wrong. One of them, whoever it is. So today is Thursday. When I'm doing this, and this call say Thursday, but it say Thursday morning. So you're going to get a Thursday night message coming from me, the Brass Love One, that life is about experience in life and different things in life. This goes out to the officers, and it go out to the jury, right? Okay? Because God's saying life is about experiencing things in life and not wasting of God's precious time God give you, the jury, or give to these officers. In the life that God gave Mr. Tyre, God saying to the officers, life was about experiencing life, not murdering, killing Mr. Tyre. And God saying to the jury, life is about experiencing life, and it was not about you sitting saying that you're not going to prosecute people God want prosecuted for killing Mr. Tyre, wasting his life. Morally, you know you was wrong. Consequences was going to be coming if Mr. Tyre didn't get away from these people, or if Mr. Tyre didn't get away from some lady maybe one of these officers was talking to. because one of my other stories gonna say it, right? That's why I'm saying that. Okay. Circumstances was gonna come if one of these drawers didn't leave an X of theirs or anything like that, or circumstances was that they was gonna leave Mr. Tyre, and that simply means they was going to go for the not guilty. Circumstances was going to happen if they didn't say not guilty. Get what I'm saying? Because I got to turn the card. Will you leave the X? Will you leave Mr. Tyre in the dust where he don't get no justice? Because it's going to be consequences if you don't. Get what I'm saying, right? Next one is what? What is this? God said, get out while you can. Do you like this mess? This would be for the jury. One of you or whoever. Somebody might have got out because they didn't like it. One of the juries might have left because they didn't like it. Get what I just said? Don't have to be, but they might have. Follow me? Or one of them stayed and they know they needed to get out. But God gonna give justice to all of you. Spiritual justice, because you know it was wrong. For the officers, Mr. Tyre was trying to get out. He didn't like this mess. He was trying to get out, but you wouldn't let him get out. You was like vultures. Right? Next one is parents should not walk away. So one of these jurors might be a parent. You might have walked away from your child, or you might have a child in adoption, or whatever this is, who wondering will they ever even know you. Or one of you might have been adopted yourself, and you wondering will you ever know your parent or anything like that, because your parent walked away, gave you away. Or we got one of these officers, parent gave you away, you don't know your mother, or your child was wondering, was you going to go away, and would they not see you ever again? Will I ever know who warned me? You didn't want it to be where you walk away from your children, or the jury didn't want it to be where you walk away from your children, so they felt like you being around your children was more important than serving justice for Mr. Tyre. You tell me that ain't crazy. Intensity, cover your genitals. So we got over here with Mr. Tyre, need to cover his genitals. These officers need to cover their genitals in a situation. And over here with this juror needed to cover their genitals, any of them, right? So we have right here that can we, Mr. Tyre, after a while, was saying no to something, or he's pulling back, or whatever he's doing something, because they barged in with rage, all these people against him. So he could have put his hand up to shield himself, or whatever he did. He could have moved over from him, or whatever. That means no. Anything where you're trying to protect yourself, stop, whatever. They barged in with rage, and that's what they did to Mr. Tyre. So over here, with the jury, they didn't barge in no kind of way. They walked in, but still it's considered rage. Why? Because they came with not guilty. And that is what you call rage. That makes no sense. That's defensive when you're supposed to come back with a positive, guilty. Get what I'm saying? You said, no, you're not going to come back with guilty. You came back with rage. Not guilty. That's rage in this story now. Okay? The family wanted you to bring in emotional love they needed because it was intense madness. What happened to their relative? But you didn't care about that because you might as well just spit on Mr. Tyre. Each one of you people, where the judge asked you and you said that's your verdict, you spit on Mr. Tyre. That's what you did. And you smacked his mother. That's what you did when you did that. That's your actions with them words you said. Just you agreeing. It was intense madness with Mr. Tyre and these officers back then. He wanted them to bring in emotional love he needed. Something happened on a Wednesday or Friday or whatever day of the week that the officers was working on hard for Mr. Tyre as far as his job or whatever he was doing. Over here with the jury is working on something hard. Maybe coming up with a decision, if not that, whatever they was doing. Right? Looking at the trial, looking at videos or whatever they was doing. They worked hard on it though. We got number 2, so we might hear juror 2, juror 12. Do a 12 again. Do a 5 again. Who was draw 5? I think I saw it 5 about three or 4 times. Draw 3. Okay, let's see. I think that's it. God said you owe insane apology, Jory. It was a mastermind to make sure these officers didn't go to jail. You said, like, you saying out to the family, just find other ways to pleasure yourself. Oh, well, your loved one was murdered. Just find other ways to pleasure yourself because, you know, we're going to stay on our path. And our path is not to send these officers to jail. Because we was molded from way back when we was born or whenever, that cops don't go to jail. And that's what it is. With this card right here, what you saying. And their mission was to leave Mr. Tyre in the dust. Will you leave your ex? That would be, will you leave Mr. Tyre? Because there's going to be consequences if they didn't leave Mr. Tyre. That means they need to vote, they needed to say not guilty. They saying to the family, don't blame all of us for your loss. Don't blame all of us for your loss. We can't bring no emotional love you need. You know, since it was intended for you and your family, we ain't got nothing to do with that. Don't blame us. But God said these people owe an insane apology. The set of officers who did it, and these jurors who came right back and might well say, did what they did. I think that's it. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. And with the apology card, it means that you should be saying to the family that you shouldn't have did it and you was wrong. But it's going to be hard for anybody to do that if they don't feel like they was wrong. So God saying you owe an insane apology. Anytime God says something is insane, is over the top and it's terrible. And God saying it for the officers who did what they did to Mr. Tyre and to the jury. God saying is insane. Each one of these people is going to be spiritual justice for. God is going to give spiritual justice. I don't know, as far as the officers, I don't know. So far, it looks like I guess they're not going in or whatever, but God is giving spiritual justice. Spiritual justice. You're dealing with God, not man, right? And for the jury, you're going to be dealing with God too. Spiritual justice, because God said it was insane what you did, because you had a chance to do what you needed to do, because you say you stand up for justice. Evidently, you don't stand up for justice, because if you did, you would have put them in where they belong. That's justice. Okay, this is the Breast Love 1 here. It's a Row 9 here on YouTube. Peace.